Well, I just made this little doily. Now, it's not very big. It's just the right size for, here's a glass. Just the right size for a glass of water. But you can make it as large as you want or as small as you want. I wanted to try this pattern that I found on YouTube, and I'm going to include it in a Christmas box that's going to somebody in the Facebook group called The Last Homely House. Some of us are doing box swaps. So, this yarn was made in Greece. It's mercerized cotton. It looks pretty old. Didn't take very much of it. I used small needles. Boy, I don't know what size these are. I'd say maybe a 2 or 3. You very much need circular needles for this particular pattern. I did not like these plastic ones. They're too stiff. They were hard to manage, but it did work. I've never done this pattern before. I might try some nice metal ones next time. Now, let me tell you, this lady, that's the lady, that's the name of the YouTube video, Vintage Knitted Doily. It's a little counterintuitive. It's a little finicky, but I need to cut off my strings. I really like it. I would love to make like a set of these for little coasters. Wouldn't that be fun? I think I did about 12 rows. I really didn't do that many. And then I just cast off and left it like that. I was going to just refer you to this lady's video, which would be fine, but her video is extremely slow and long because she shows you every single stitch she makes, and some of you really don't need that. So I'm going to jump straight ahead to, you've already cast on 8 stitches, okay? And you really, I believe, need circular needles in order to do this. Now, like I said, I think before, I use some plastic ones. These are kind of metal, but I do think that the plastic tubing is more flexible here and not quite so stiff, and I think that'll work. Now, after you cast on, you take your 8 stitches here on this tubing, and you get 4 on one side and 4 on the other, and then you squeeze this tubing loop and divide your stitches 4 on one needle and 4 on the other, like that. And this is how we're going to get it to go into a circle. Now, I am trying to do this while looking through the camera and then occasionally looking around the camera. I'm not sure how this will work. I'm not sure how I'll be able to knit doing this. It's already awkward enough. Now, the next thing that you have to do, you get them down here to the end, and you need to hold them tight like you got little reins. If you've done a Kitchener stitch before, it kind of feels similar. Anyway, we're going to have the 2 end stitches switch places. I'm going to move this one that's here onto this needle and this one that's here onto this needle. Okay, so we'll do that next. Now she takes her live yarn and makes sure that it's hanging down the middle. Okay, she also has really long fingernails, but what she does is she takes this stitch off the end first. This makes me so nervous to have live stitches hanging in midair, but apparently it's not that scary. And you take this one off and move it over there. Actually, I think maybe it should be turned that way. And then you move this stitch over here. Okay, that's about the most finicky thing you have to do. Okay, now the thing I had to really watch her do, which was so confusing, is how she pulls her needles in and out of here. In order to knit, now you can't knit with these needles this close together. So you have to pull the right hand needle out. Okay, and then you're going to begin knitting. And this is the first round. Okay, now you're going to knit in the round. I just did 1 stitch. This is the hard part. Once you get past the first round or 2, it's not quite as finicky feeling. Okay, so I've just done 4 stitches. And they're now over here. Okay, and in order to do the next 4, I have to pull
this needle through. And then pull this needle out. Okay, and then I'm going to do the next 4. And these are kind of small needles, but really kind of slippery yarn. Again, I knit continental, and I apologize. I know for some of you this looks weird because I don't throw my yarn over. Okay, so now I've done the first round. Those were 8 stitches, 4 on each needle. Now I'm going to pull this one back through. Now this is when I really began to doubt that this would work, because you end up with so much, man, I'm sorry, I'm not very good at this. This is only my second time doing this. I may have to do this more. It's hard. She had struggled with this too, getting this back on the needle at the bottom. Okay. Man. She has better fingernails than I do, like I said. Okay. Now I've still got 8 stitches, obviously. And you see I've got more of a bunch in the middle. And what happens as you make this doily is the doily is formed in between the 2 needles, almost like a little sack or pouch, and it starts to eventually hang down. It doesn't grow between them and separate them out. It kind of hangs down. And so honestly, you could make, I think you could make this doily about as big as you wanted. You could probably make it into a tablecloth. You just have this big thing hanging down underneath. Now, now we're going to do row 2. Again, I can't knit them like this, so I'm going to pull this one out so I have space. Now, on row 2, you're going to yarn over and knit 1, yarn over and knit 1 all the way around. So instead of 8 stitches, you're going to end up with 16. Okay. Now you have to, the first yarn over looks kind of weird because you're kind of coming from thin air. This is how I do my yarn overs. If I do that incorrectly, I apologize. If you do them differently, that is super cool. See, look how stretchy that stitch is. This is the reason why I thought this is never going to work, because look how gappy this is. How is that ever going to look like a doily when there's so much gap there? Okay, so now I just did the first 4, so I pull this one down. This is the only tedious part of it, and I think if I had a better set of metal circular needles, and I used to have some, and I thought I didn't like them, although I never used them, and so I gave them away to the thrift store. I probably should have kept them. Okay. For the first little bit, that tail down there, the inactive tail of yarn that I cast on with, will be a little bit distracting. Okay, and now I'm going to, I'm sorry, I'm holding the camera stand down with my wrists. Okay, so I yarned over. Is that a past tense? Oh, see, the bulk of it is kind of getting in the way. Oh, now you see how much trouble I'm having? You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to do the most important thing, which is pull this out, silly. I really hope that my very, very, very imperfect and beginner type of knitting is helpful to some of you who do the same stupid thing, so you can go, oh, I'm not going to do that. Okay, so I'm just going to yarn over and knit that. But what I was trying to say is that once you finish this, all those ugly gaps between the 2 rows of knitting that you have, for some reason they kind of seem to disappear, and it all works out. Not really sure how, but it does. Okay, so there was row 2, which was yarn over, knit 1. And now the next row, the 3rd row, is going to be all knit. And the rows go on like that indefinitely, where every other row is just knit, and then the rows in between that form a bit of a pattern are always yarn over and knit a certain amount. The first time it's yarn over, knit 1. The next time it'll be yarn over, knit 2. So I'm going to keep on working on this some, and then I'll come back. Well, let's just do one more together. This is a regular knit row, knit all the way around. And this time I'm not going to forget to pull that out. Yay! See, when she does it, she does all this so fast. The pulling out and the shoving down from... I had to slow it down and look at her video over and over to figure out what in the world she was doing. I apologize for the camera. If I could only show you how I have it set up, you would understand. But this is so that you can see it close up. I should have one of those that mounts on my head or something, but I don't. So because this one's all yarn over, it's just going to be 16, not all yarn over, all knit. It's going to be 16 stitches till. The only reason why this is really worth it to me is because I do love doilies, and doilies are easy to make with crochet, but I don't really crochet anymore, and I do love to knit. I think knit has an elegance to it, plus it doesn't hurt my thumbs, my arthritis as much. And so I've been looking for doily knit patterns. I don't know if this is kind of the standard way to do it. I made one once. I'll have to show it to you. That's an interesting tale. Had an armchair, and the ends of the arms where your hands are, where you rest your hands, were so worn I wanted to do little covers. And so somehow I looked up how to knit a little doily that would be on the end of the arm. And I made that. I'll try to take some pictures and show you that. And then I got distracted doing other stuff. I went back to do the second arm, and I couldn't remember how in the world I had made that doily, so I had to crochet the other one. Now, you can tend to lose track of where you are, but you should be able, if you knit much, you should be able to look at these stitches and tell if there's any yarn overs here, that means that's the previous row. Okay, you should be able to know what row you're on, unless you talk like me and lose track. I will say this is a little fiddly, especially these first few rows. Once you get going, though, it's all right. See, I can see there's yarn overs here, so obviously that's row number 2 that I was doing, and so this is row number 3 that I'm on now. Okay. And then you slide this between it. You know, when you do half of a row, you always have to adjust your needles. I'm so sorry about the bobbing camera. It's really not very helpful, is it? Not sure if I'm wild about these needles. I do think that they are better than the last ones I was using, but they're not great. There. Okay. And you can see how you're getting this bulk, but if I can stick my finger in there and I can feel that. So there's the middle of it. You can see it underneath. The hole in the middle. Okay. So I just did row number 3, then I'll do next one. I'll be doing row number 4, and it will be yarn over, knit 2, yarn over, knit 2 all the way around. Okay, I just did that row, the yarn over, knit 2 together. And I would recommend, if you're going to stop, which I'm going to do right now and go do something else, stop after you've done a yarn over row all the way around, so that when you come back and you wonder where in the world you are and you didn't write it down, you can look at your stitches and you can see the yarn over, knit 2. There's 1, there's 2. And then when I look at this one, I can see that it's a yarn over. It has that loose look of a yarn over. And then knit 2. And then this one was a yarn over. And so I'll know, oh, that's what I did last time. I did yarn over, knit 2. Then I'll know that the next row is a knit row. And I'll know that the following row after that will be a yarn over, knit 3. Okay, so if the last row you do is an all knit row and you come back, you won't have any idea what to do next. Okay, so and I've already got pictures of my finished one that you can see, and you can also check out hers. She also has a very strong, I think, Indian or Pakistani accent that for some people may make it difficult to understand what she's saying. So I thought maybe I would. This is a very inferior video compared to hers, though, but it might give you a start on how to do this. Thanks. Bye.